welcome back to the All Purpose Pod for an all purpose life, wherever you are and however you're listening to They Call Me Mr. You, the podcast. Thanks once again for making us a part of your morning, your day, and your week. We're your weekly mirror check before you change the world. You can find us on all of the social medias at They Call Me Mr. You, MISTAYU or MRYU. If you're looking for us on Twitter or X, that's where you can find us. And of course, all of our audio podcasts are available wherever you enjoy your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, etc. We're there. Of course, our audio and video on our YouTube, full episodes on our YouTube channel at They Call Me Mr. You. Thank you for your support. Please like, share, and subscribe there. We definitely would appreciate the support. I want to chat with you guys real quick. It's been my heart for a little bit, but I want to kind of get into it a little bit while we had time together. And by the way, miss you guys. It's been quite a while since I got on like this. We have episodes flowing and we got videos flowing all over our YouTube channel and social media, but I haven't got a chance to sit down and do some of the teaching and chatting with you guys in several weeks. So it's been really good to get back with you guys. So thanks for indulging me in this time, and let's go ahead and jump into it. There's one thing that's kind of been on my heart. I've been noticing a lot of emphasis on from people who are so inclined, believers, if you will, that they have an emphasis on things that are perishable. You know, that's really a dangerous place to be for a lot of reasons, but because the Bible teaches us that the things that we see don't matter as much as the things that we don't see. The visible isn't or shouldn't be a priority over the invisible. A lot of us, and you know what, it's not even just about people who are religious in nature or faith-filled, but just people in general. We seem to be focused on some of the wrong things. This isn't a commentary on that per se. I'm not here to try to change the world in that aspect, but it seems to be that we're focused on the wrong things. We're fighting battles that we shouldn't be fighting. We're throwing darts at things that shouldn't be a target for us. We're pressing our way into places that we shouldn't even be. And it's sad to see it because it's a waste of time, it's a waste of energy. And what it does is it redirects you to a degree that it's really hard to come back from. And then you have to try to fight back through where you shouldn't be to get to the place where you should be. I mean, conflict is going to happen in life, but it's really unwise to use your time wisely, especially when you don't, or you're not in charge of that time measurement. You don't get to determine how much you have and how much you can use and how much is portioned out to you. And I think that's part of the frailty of life. We're here a moment and then we're gone the next. We don't know when our quote unquote time is going to be. And anybody that thinks on that realm, you definitely want to try to manage your time wisely and do the very best you can with the resources and time and outlets that you have, because there's a time going to come when you can't do that anymore. You won't have the capability or the bandwidth to do some of the things you may be able to do right now freely. And time and chance happens to everyone. The Bible teaches us that. But, I've been thinking a lot about where we put our time and our investment and what we use that we've been given or what we don't use that we've been given. And what comes to mind is an awesome quote from our former mentor who's dearly departed. He's gone on to be with the Lord by the name of Dr. Miles Monroe. I've used this quote on many times on many episodes on this podcast. But I want to go ahead and run it by you guys again so you can hear it. I want it to be fresh in your minds as we get into what we're going to talk about today. But it says, the wealthiest place in the world is not the gold mines of South America or the oil fields of Iraq or Iran. They are not the diamond mines of South Africa or the banks of the world. The wealthiest place on the planet is just down the road. It is the cemetery. Check that out now. It's the cemetery. There lie buried companies that were never started, inventions that were never made, best-selling books that were never written, and masterpieces that were never painted. I'm going to read that part again to you. The wealthiest place on the planet is just down the road. It is the cemetery. There lie buried companies that were never started, inventions that were never made, best-selling books that were never written, and masterpieces that were never painted. In the cemetery is buried the greatest treasure of untapped potential. When I was growing up, the word potential, I thought it was a good thing. But when I read this, I understand that potential is something that you could have done that you didn't do. You had an opportunity to fulfill it, but you didn't. And it went when you went. And potential is no longer a good word to me. Now it's a dirty word. I think we want to try to live our lives, especially those that are so inclined and faith filled, or people who just have a desire to make the world a better place than what it was when they were growing up or when their parents were growing up, make things better for people. I think that the word potential is something that we don't want to be left with, saying that we did all we could, but we didn't do enough, or we didn't do enough of what we could have done that we had the ability and capability to do. So potential for me is a dirty word. I don't want anything to be left on the table. I want to live my life empty, having poured out everything that was inside of me. That could just be me, but I wanted to share that with you guys. But one of the things that came to mind also was those old movies. I mean, they're really popular for a reason, and people don't really understand why they're so popular. Like movies about Vikings and TV series about Vikings are rapidly popular. Old gangster movies on the Hollywood scale of, I guess, box office money that's come in. Those old gangster movies are really high. They've come, I mean, movies like Goodfella and Scarface, they have raked in the dollars. Old movies about or old TV shows about the Wild West with outlaws and trying to get buried treasure and pirates and things of that nature, like Pirates of the Caribbean, for example. These things rake in the dollars, and they always have thousands upon thousands of millions upon millions of eyes on their products. Why is that important? Why do you care about that? It's because there's something in these movies that is central to who we are as human beings. It's not just entertainment. There's something in it that speaks to who we are as people. Most of these movies that are so wildly popular in this vein, even look at the ones with the recent treasure movies with Nicolas Cage. They were rapidly popular because no, there isn't anybody that doesn't want to find the treasure. We get on this chase and this quest and this journey, whether it be Indiana Jones, the list goes on, because inside of us, we all want to find that treasure. So it's easy for us to watch these movies and TV shows and get with the chase, get into the flow and the rhythm and follow this journey and get engaged and locked into it for 2 hours or however long the movie or TV show is, because we all want to find the treasure. For us, I think it's important to find the treasure within as opposed to the buried treasure, whether it be gold, silver, or whatever it is that the outlaws or the pirates or the gangsters or the Vikings are looking for. Usually, and we see it played out also in the world of cinema and art, when those kind of treasures are found, those earthly treasures are found, what actually changes about the person? Usually, it's a negative change. They become more boisterous. They think of themselves a lot more higher than they should. They look down on other people. They think of themselves as privileged and everybody else is like dirt. Or they are unable to handle the pressures of having the treasure like that. People wanting it from them, people wanting a piece of their pie, people who are related to them that want to get a piece, think they earned it or they think it's owed to them in some way because you have it. They think they have earned a piece somehow just because they're connected with you or related to you. Some people just don't know how to handle it and they lose it all in record time because they don't have the management skills or the prudence or the ability to steward what they've been given. So most times those kind of treasures and finding those come with a negative result. I'm talking about a different kind of treasure though. I'm talking about a different kind of treasure, the kind of treasure that matters, the kind of treasure that lasts beyond where we are right now and how we're living right now in this human realm. No, we got scriptures that teach us about these kind of treasures. Matthew 6:19 says, "Do not lay up for yourselves treasures on earth where moth and rust destroy and where thieves break in and steal." It's a crazy way to live. Imagine that in your home, you have one of the greatest treasures known to man, and you know that everybody in the world wants it. If they knew that you had it in your house, they would do all they can to get it, or try to find some way to pry it away from you for their own monetary gain. Think about the stress you'd have because you know you got something so valuable that everybody else wants, and if they can get it from you, they would. Imagine the pressure and the strain of having to live with that all your years on earth. Well, the good news is that you don't have to deal with that. Most of us don't have that kind of treasure in our home. The good news, even better news, is that we have a treasure that really matters. 2 Corinthians 4:7 says, but we have this treasure in jars of clay to show that the surpassing power belongs to God and not to us. That power that we're talking about, that jars of clay, is us as a human body. We have a treasure inside of us, a power and authority that's inside of us that has the ability to change the world. That's where the mantra for this show came from, to go change the world, because we have the ability inside of us already. We have the power and the authority inside of us already to actually change the world that we live in and change it for the better. We have that kind of mountain moving, groundbreaking authority and power inside of us. And it's better than gold. It's better than silver and platinum and precious pearls and precious jewels. It's the power of God. That changes everything. It can have the ability to change anything. When you hear terms like mantle, what do you hear? A mantle is an important role or responsibility that passes from one person to another, a spiritual covering to do an assignment on earth. It's what you do with the grace of God. Grace is something that is not eternal. It lasts for a period of time and then it's gone. We're here under grace. That's why we can't expect to live 500 years on this earth. We have a certain amount of time that we have, and then it's over. Some people's time's a lot shorter because of how they live and what they put into their bodies, etc. But we understand that. But we have a certain amount of time to live. We have a responsibility that's been passed over to us. There are people in our family, even in my own family, that have had big roles and responsibilities, and they passed away without completing them. Perhaps you have somebody in your family that had done the same thing. They had a role and responsibility, a calling, if you will, that it didn't complete, they didn't finish. And it says a lot about us when we understand that, but we don't pick up the responsibility. We don't want the weight or the burden to do what has been left unfinished. I tell you what, man, we got a lot of unfinished work around us. If you look around, you can see it. If you don't see it in your house, maybe you can see it in your ministry, maybe you can see it in your family life, maybe you can see it in your workplace. There's a lot of unfinished work around us, and it's not a good situation. Have you guys been familiar with the parable of the talents in Matthew 25? One of the reasons why one of the servants was condemned the way he was because he violated the faith and the trust of his leadership. He willfully hid a talent in the ground rather than put it to work, steward it, gain interest from it, and build upon it the way he was instructed. He buried it out of fear. What does it mean to bury? It means to cover and to conceal from sight, to put it out of your mind, to cause it to be insignificant by assigning it to an unimportant location. What does that mean? What that basically means is that where you put it tells the world what you think about it. Where you put that responsibility, that obligation, tells the world what you think about it. We do that all the time. We do that with people. We do it with relationships. We put them in places where we think they should be. It could be an unimportant location, a place of less significance. But we put them there because we think they're insignificant or we treat them as such. And that's just wrong. We do that with money. We do it with family in a lot of places. We do it with the calling that's on our life. We put it in an insignificant place. We put it into a nightstand rather than put it to work. We put it into a closet rather than put it to work because we don't see it as significant and meaningful. We try to bury it. Several years back when I was doing, well, I was out of the R&B and hip hop game by this time. I was doing gospel and leading worship and traveling with an international ministry, just doing worship and leading people in song and writing songs and the whole 9 yards. And we did a song, or as a matter of fact, we did a series of songs with a very popular female artist. I shared her name on the show, but today I'm not going to do that. So if you go back and you hear those episodes, you'll know who I'm talking about. Or if you talk to me personally, you know who I was talking about. But we did a concert with this female artist. Like I said, insanely popular, one of the best female artists of all time. Has a voice that was incredible and still does. We did a performance with her at a religious organization. It wasn't Christian by any stretch of the imagination. It was another religion, which I won't go into that detail either. Not what I believe whatsoever, but we did go ahead and take that gig, and we did that there. And the funny part about it was that we were so excited about singing with her because she's a legend. She was a legend even then, years ago. She's a legend now. And we were so excited as a choir to be singing with her, as a praise team to be singing with her, and to be able to, I guess, put that on our resume and say we sung with the great. And we were so excited, and we were getting ready. We were kind of nervous because, man, we're going to sing with so and so. And then we got word from one of her representatives that we are going to sing with her, but she'll be on the platform, on the stage, in front of all the people in the building, in the audience. We're going to be behind a black curtain to the distance, away from where she's going to be at. We didn't understand at first, but we realized that we were being buried. To put it mildly, we were being concealed from sight. This famous artist clearly didn't want us to be at the forefront of her performance. We would back her up from a sound quality standpoint, as a vocal standpoint, but she didn't want us to be seen. She only wanted us heard. We were being buried. It was pretty painful to be buried when we know we had something to offer. We had something of value. We were good at what we were doing. We were traveling up and down the coast, and we knew what we were doing. And we were being buried. And it's like, that's exactly how the Lord feels when He's giving you a resource. He's giving you a faith, a trust. And we put it in the background and hid it from sight, as if we were ashamed of it, as if it didn't matter to us that we had it. So think about that kind of stuff. I mean, it was almost an act of defiance. Isn't it amazing that somebody can be so defiant, saying, I would not do this, so I would not do that? When a child does that, the first thing we want to do is whip them into shape. We want to whip them into shape and quickly correct the behavior with emphatic action. But when we do that, when we're defiant against God and say, you know what, I don't want to do that. That's not how I'm feeling right now. I don't think that's for me. We fancy God to be okay with our defiance because He knows our heart. It's utter nonsense, but that's what we do. It's an act of defiance to bury what resources you've been given, what resources and ability you've been given. So I don't know who I'm talking to. I don't know if this means anything to you at all. But if this is resonating with you at all, I ask you today, please don't bury the talent that you've been given. Don't take people and relationships that are meant to be valuable to you, to be important to you, not because of what it does for you, what level it puts you on, or how it elevates you, but because you have somebody in your life that is a sounding board, that is a blessing to you, that is a shoulder for you to cry on, that means something for them to be in your life. Don't bury them out of sight and put them out of your mind. Cherish that. They're treasures in your life. It's another example of a treasure that we're talking about right now. They are a treasure in your life. So treat people well. Treat opportunities well. Treat chances to be in a spotlight on a platform that you didn't earn. Treat them well. Treat the opportunity right. You never know when you're going to have it again. But for all intents and purposes, you've been given a treasure, excuse me, and potential is untapped. But now it's time to tap into it. Don't let it go to the grave and nothing comes of it. Take advantage of the opportunity. Unbury the buried treasure. Live out loud. Unbury the buried treasure. Don't violate the trust and the faith that's been put in you and the confidence that's been put in you to live out loud and walk in the resources and the ability and the talent that you have. Don't put it behind a black curtain. Don't dig it into the ground and cover it up. Let it shine, let it flow, and be who you're supposed to be. Be who you're designed and made to be. Hope that made sense to you. I really hope you enjoy the music as we close out. Have a great day.